Hans Holbein the Younger painted power with such precision that 5 centuries later, his sitters still look like they might speak. Born in Augsburg around 1497 and trained in Basel, Holbein mastered line first. That discipline shows up everywhere. In the edges of velvet, the glint of a clasp, the exactness of a nose. By the 1530s he was in England, turning the Tudor court into images that would define it forever. Holbein's secret weapon wasn't just oil paint, it was preparation. He sketched his sitters obsessively in coloured chalks, measuring proportions, mapping light, and capturing the restless details of a mouth or a gaze. Those drawings, many now at Windsor, let him move from live study to studio with uncanny accuracy. The result is a kind of forensic realism. Across the next 8 portraits, you'll see a range of scholars, statesmen, envoys, princesses, queens, and the most famous king in Europe. In 1538, Holbein travelled to Brussels and sketched Christina of Denmark, a young Habsburg widow Henry was considering as a bride. The English ambassador bragged that another artist's drawing was slow-buried compared to Holbein's, which tells you how prized his accuracy was. Holbein's later oil portrait is often singled out as one of his finest images of a woman. The look is restrained and controlled, fitting a high-status widow negotiating carefully. Charles de Solier was a French soldier and diplomat serving Francis I. Holbein painted him in the mid-1530s. What you see is French elite taste brought to London. Rich, dark fabrics that were expensive to dye, a substantial gold chain of service, and a sword you're meant to notice. The overall effect is controlled power rather than English show. The portrait sits in the same moment as fierce Anglo-French diplomacy, and Morette looks exactly like the man you'd send to deliver hard news politely. Painted in 1533, Anne Boleyn, then Queen of England, commissioned this work as a gift for Jean de Donteville, a French ambassador, and Georges de Selve, the Bishop of Lavaux, who sometimes handled diplomatic work. Between them is a table covered with tools of a first-rate education. Knowledge, religion, and mortality all share the stage. The clothes split the roles. Fur-lined luxury for the lay ambassador, darker clerical layers for the churchman. Henry VIII, second Tudor king, split from Rome, dissolved the monasteries, built up the navy, and ran a court where image was policy. Holbein gave Henry the silhouette everyone knows: square stance, massive chest, legs apart, eyes straight at you. The famous full length was lost with the Whitehall Palace fire, but copies carry the template. Layers of fur, cloth of gold, heavy embroidery and gems weren't just taste. They were the legal right of rank, worn all at once to broadcast power. Thomas More was a top lawyer, humanist, and Henry VIII's Lord Chancellor. He wrote Utopia, then refused to accept Henry as head of the church, and paid with his life in 1535. Holbein met him through Erasmus, and painted him in 1527 at the height of his power. The big gold chain in that portrait isn't a fashion flourish, it's office. The fur-lined robe said status, and frankly, warmth in cold rooms. To his own time it read as respectability, and service near the throne. Jane Seymour was Henry's third wife, and mother of Edward VI. She died soon after childbirth in 1537. In portraits, Jane presents as quiet and traditional, which was the point after the turmoil around Anne Boleyn. The English gable-style headwear, the measured jewellery, and the calm symmetry all read as modest and safe to Tudor eyes. Holbein painted her and also placed her in the now lost Whitehall mural alongside Henry, fixing her image as the steady queen who produced an heir. Anne of Cleves arrived by politics. In 1539, Holbein was sent to paint her in Germany, so Henry could judge a potential bride. Henry met her, wasn't impressed, and the marriage ended quickly. Anne stayed in England as the king's sister, well-housed and respected. Cromwell took the blame for overselling her beauty and fell soon after. There's no evidence Henry blamed Holbein for flattery. The painter did his job, a neutral negotiator's portrait that politics later weaponized. Erasmus was Europe's famous scholar and editor of the Greek New Testament. He lived by his pen and kept his independence from both church authorities and hardline reformers. Erasmus wanted a consistent public image because his books traveled everywhere. Holbein's versions of him became the reference picture that printers and readers knew. Few jewels, no bright colors, no sword. He's telling you his value is in the brain, not in the fabric. Holbein doesn't shout. He calibrates. Line first, then light, then the psychology that makes faces stay with you. Across scholars, saints, courtiers, and kings, he built portraits that are both documents and dramas. Stand close and you get thread counts, metalwork, and fingerprints of craft. Step back and you get history concentrating itself into posture and gaze.